Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon, Colin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Fear and Loathing in Mirkwood. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Ahoy! Sorry, I was talking, but I was also on mute, which is not the preferred way to record, as we
discovered a couple weeks ago, right? It doesn't really work out the best.
Yes. Oh my goodness! Yeah, I was.
Are you muting
anyway,
because the hand dryer is still going? Like
the
crazy,
hand dryer is not going, and I didn't even have to touch it. So apparently, 7 minutes is its maximum runtime, as we have learned. So
you didn't have to like whack the button and like unstick it, right? Like you have
no,
to.
I think just the mere threat of me getting up and going
scared it right into place.
Was enough to silence it. Dun dun dun. So,
nice.
yes. So it is done. But yeah, I am in the business card realm now, and I have for one good reason. Well, not one good reason, but
you're tired of people asking you why you don't have business cards.
Yes, and then me having to explain. Well, I do have a business card, but technically it's a magnet, and they look at me like I'm a Hydra standing there going. Like they're like, it's a magnet. I'm like, yeah, because it's not for you, right? I don't want you to have this actually. So I went down this long road of, well, I know what I'll do. I'll go paperless with these, and what I'll actually do is I will just be make a digital card, and I'll share it from my phone. That's what I'll do, right? Yeah. But if you type in, okay, so this is what I did. I typed in best paperless business card options. Okay. You get some really random sites that come up. Many of the sites are also blogs written by the paperless business card companies, which are always fun. They're like, look at me. I am an unbiased opinion on my business
that
card
happens
website.
To sell paperless business card services. Coincidentally. Totally.
Yes. Yeah. But then you get stuff, and it's like, okay, tech companies are terrible at naming things. They just can't name something that makes sense. Like,
they're really bad. They need to take a lesson from scientists. Okay, yes. Scientists got it. Like, they're what do you really call that blue bird over there? Why? It's a bluebird.
A bluebird, actually. Yes. Got him. I love this. So I'm going to read to you, I don't know, the top, as far as I can ascertain, the top 5. Okay. And I want you to just know these companies the only thing that these companies do are make cards that you download an app to your phone, you add a photo, some information, blah, 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 and then it generates a QR code so that people can scan it, right? That's all these companies do. Here are top 5. Okay. Number 1, Popl. Popl. Popl.
What?
Popl.
That's okay.
Number 2, Blink. BLINQ. Blink.
Oh no, not the Q. Oh no.
Then this, I love this one. Number 3, Beacon Stack.
What?
BEACONSTAC. Beacon Stack.
No, why? No.
Oh, it's even better. Number 4 is Vice. I don't know. It's V, and then the number 1 CE, and it's all caps. V, the number 1 CE.
Oh no.
Just one more here. Mobilo. MOBILO.
That one might be the worst one of all. That's quite horrid.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I gotta go. We had Blink. Now we just have Link. LINQ.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. None of these names make sense. Why is number 7? Why is it called a haystack? Haystack. It's not. That's not the name. God. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of companies around town that are like that. I assume there's some sort of like tech thing, because when I look at the sign, I have no indication at all of what they actually do. Right. And I feel like this is bad. Okay.
Yes.
I feel like when you look at a sign, you need to clearly be able to understand what your company does. Okay. And not with like subtext, right? Not with like the name and then like corporate logistics solutions. Okay. That those are not actual, that's not an actual sentence. Those are just buzzwords in a row. Okay. That doesn't tell me anything.
Yes.
Right. Like what is this? So I don't know why you would have like a name that doesn't tell what you do.
Yes.
Because how will people know that they need you?
Yeah.
If you don't tell them what you do.
It's so hard to track down like what's a I'm sorry, when I see something that is just complete nonsense, my first thought is this is not legitimate. Okay, this is just somebody who randomly banged on the keyboard for 13 seconds, came up with this and sent out this malware for me to download that's going to suck up and steal all of mine and your data. So
that's true.
Like,
the problem is it was probably focus group.
Yes, that's
I don't know by whom, but
terrible people.
Yeah.
They didn't ask us. That's the problem.
Yeah, right. Come on.
See, this is so. I ended up downloading like 4 of these.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well, because I wanted to know, like what
are you?
What are you? What is this? Why are you the way you are? And all of them are basically the exact same. Some of them, like, I'm only going for free accounts. I'm not paying. I'm not giving these people money. Like, I'm not at all. So all of the basic features are the same. It's like, here's a little thing. It's your name, a photo. Some of them you can include a website. Some it's just a phone number or an email or a logo or these things. And then they get more. Some of them do get more complicated because marketing people ruin everything. Now what happens is you can suck up the data. So if someone scans your phone, okay, you can have that suck up their data into your CRM, your customer relation, whatever it is, and like track your QR code use. So that if someone then shares your QR code, you can continue to track like that it was shared across multiple things.
Is that important?
Okay,
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Know. I don't think like that doesn't sound useful to me.
No.
Like, why would you need to track that? Like,
I think some people want to know, like, how, I guess for vanity's sake, this is the only thing that I can really think about is somebody who was like, oh, look, my QR code totes got shared like 30 times yesterday. Whoa, bro, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, but that number doesn't mean anything.
Well, except if you're like a contact kind of person and your goal is like, I need to have 100 touch points this week and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but like only in sheer exposure volume, that only a small percent of that exposure is going to actually translate to actual like customer.
Well,
right? Like that doesn't there's not like a 1-to-1 correlation from like view or share to customer, right? Like that's not how this works. Okay, this is
right.
That's very weird.
But
I feel like this is. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say, I think this is one of those things that I feel this is like a bloat charge, right? Like, you know how we moan about cars, like they have all these features that you don't actually want, but like those are the base model features now. So the base price of the car is like way higher than it probably needs to be because it has things that you don't actually need, but they just stick them on there to be like, look at us, look what we can do, right? I feel like this is a bloat charge. We're like, look at this, and you're like, this doesn't really seem very useful, but they're gonna charge you for it.
Yeah, it's the people, and I know what people try and do with that, right? What they go is, I'm going to give you as much value as possible, But if people if you don't need those features, it's a complete waste. And what ends up happening is someone like me goes, oh, well, I would kind of like to change the colors on my card so it would match my company colors. Well, then immediately you're in the $3 a month range. And that's now you can do like, ooh, now, because this is the other thing. Is it like I wanted to get a business card just on my phone where people scan a code, whatever. Okay. Then you start seeing things where like, well, we're a business card company that makes digital business cards. Also, we can make you a cool virtual background for Zoom. And I'm like, where did that come from? Or they're like, do you need help with your email signatures? Because we can make them totally rad. And again, I'm going, I just wanted a free business card. Like, what are you doing?
People care about email signatures. I as a person that works in a school, right? The email signature for me is I don't even have one. I just type my name because I only ever use it for like inter-office communication. You know, like what it was made for. But like, people just like at like work, all people ever do is they put educator signatures. It's always like your name, your position, and then quite often some really dumb quote about education, just like on the bottom, just so people know.
Shots fired.
They're really bad. Some of them are really lame, right? So it's like name, job title, or titles, you know, depending on who it is, and then 10 times just some really cheesy quote, you know, like just for what? Why is that there? I don't need to know that if you're just sending an email reminding me that kids are going to be late to class tomorrow. I don't need that.
Getting intense here.
Yeah, right. So wow, it's silly. I think it's silly.
I same thing whenever I was with in like at universities and stuff, like it's really bad there, where you get the people who you will know everything about this person, all of the positions that they hold, everything about their research in there, and it's real bad.
Their signature's longer than the email they send.
No, it is. It's so many of these. It was very, very bad. And you'd look at it and it'd be like, okay. And then there's like 7 lines below it. When I worked for the Department of Conservation, they actually part of my onboarding was making my email signature.
Nice.
I actually had to sit down with my boss and walk through my email signature and what I was going to include in it.
Gross.
And why it was important that I do these things.
I've been joking for years that I'm going to make one and it's just going to have my name and it's going to say like Sage and Scholar.
Yes.
Boom. That's all I want to say.
Yes.
I don't think anybody will find that funny. Like 3 of my friends at work will think that's funny. Everyone else will be like, what is this? Why is this person not taking the email signature line seriously?
Even better, what's going to happen is they're going to print it out, and then you're going to have to sit and talk to your boss, and he's going to hold up a printout of your email signature, and you're
like, yeah, I did that. I am both of those things.
Yep.
So, what do you want? Like,
this gets to another conundrum that I'm having is that all of these have a mandated title field. So they do ask, like, what's your title with this company? And
like, you're technically president.
Yeah. So if you go to the website,
head dog walker.
What we did. So what we did is at first we tried to come up with some like funny names, like that were really punny, that were more like pet related for what we did. But those they get so dated and they're just not funny and whatever. So like like Megan, she's our operations manager, right? She does all of the back end work, scheduling, route planning, all that stuff. My title is the managing director of like, I don't know what that means, right? But and
it's a buzzword.
And Kobe is our general manager.
Yes, perfect. That's important.
Obviously,
that's important.
I need to make him a business card.
That would be pretty excellent. Just give people your dog's business card. That would be. Can I have your business card? No, but here's my general manager.
Here's the card for my general manager. Okay. So I did go to ChatGPT and I did ask. I said, I'm the co-owner of the dog walking and pet sitting company. What are some interesting titles I could use other than things like CEO, COO,
co-owner?
Yeah, other than co-owner, right? So that's typically what I've been calling myself when people ask. I'm like co-owner and director, right? And here's what ChatGPT threw out.
Oh boy.
Chief. Okay. The first one is the worst. I'll just go ahead and say that. It is Chief Furry Officer, CFO. Okay.
Yeah. No thanks.
Okay. No thanks. The second one I actually liked was Lead Leash Holder.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay. I kind of like that. Then we get into things like Supreme Fetch Executive.
That's a bit pretentious. The word supreme is a bit
Lead Belly Rub Specialist.
Okay, there you go.
Then we get to some really bad ones called Master of Woofs. The Chief Sniff Inspector.
No.
Then these were all.
I was going to say like lead ear scratcher. Right. Like, paw shaker.
Well, but let's think of this. We're a pet care company, so I don't want it to be too like dog or cat, and have the other people not be happy
those
about
bird enthusiasts to shun you.
Well, so on side note to that, if you are in the bird world or the reptile world, you only stay within that world. Trying to get into that market is nigh impossible because it's a very, very tight clique of people. They all go to the same shows. They all know the same people. They all know each other. So they just go within their circle. So, but anyway, then I said, can you make some more? Then I asked, could you make some more generic ones that would just work for pets in general? And it said, absolutely. Here are more generic yet interesting titles that would work for a pet care company dealing with a variety of pets. The one that I really liked was Pet Care Pioneer. And I was like, but then you get into the Pet Care Wizard. And I think that's the one I'm going to use. But then it's other weird ones like Gentle Guardian or play. I do not like this one. This was almost as bad as the Chief Furry Officer. Ready? This is called Playtime Prodigy.
That's just weird and confusing.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, I could be, my title could be a fluff fanatic. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. I think if you're a sheep herder, that could be good. Right.
That's a good point. I could be a furry family facilitator.
That's too much alliteration. That's not good.
So all of these were a bust, except I like the Pet Care Pioneer. So for now, my card just says co-owner and director. Although I am thinking about just saying pet sitter and dog walker. I think ultimately that's what I just feel like need
that's
to do.
Probably, yeah.
I think that's what I'm
I'll walk your cat too, but most of them don't want to. So
although we did just get a request to walk our very first cat.
It's like a Bengal or like some crazy cat.
No,
it's like,
no,
I need to run forever.
It's not like a Savannah cat either. It's not
Savannah's the other one. Right.
Right. It's just a house tabby. It's just
Sorry. I feel like I feel like your business card actually just needs to be a picture of you pulling a goldfish in a wagon, like down the sidewalk. The Seussian whimsy of that, right? It screams fun, but also we do all pets at the same time, right? And that was
Oh, okay. So now I need to figure out how to go over to Mid-Journey, and I gotta
borrow a goldfish for.
No, I'm just gonna have AI generate a giant goldfish in a baby cart. That's all I need to do.
But put it in the bowl. It's real creepy if it's just like flopping around in the wagon.
Okay, fair.
Right.
Fair.
That sends the wrong message. That sends like fish market.
Sure.
Right? That's like
that's fair. That's fair. I'll see what I can do here. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Whimsically pulling a goldfish in a red wagon.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, man, I've got homework. I got to take some notes here. Let's do this.
With a bird on your shoulder. Like, oh, here we go.
It's me being mauled by all the animals. That's what I do.
It's like, it's just, no, you remember the old, like the Dr. Doolittle? Just you, just instead. Like,
yes.
Put you in there.
Okay. Well, these are fantastical ideas.
What was that? Is that all creatures great and small? It's like a vet or something, right?
Yeah,
like that, right? Just like stick you in there.
Okay. Well, I'll see. Man, I've got a lot of work to do. So yeah, this is all because we joined the Chamber of Commerce, and now I feel like we have to go do these things. So whatever. Did I tell you? I told you we were going to join the chamber. Did I tell you about this decision that we made? Yeah, maybe not.
I think I don't. You didn't tell me that you actually did it.
Okay.
I think there might have been a mention of rumbling. If you will.
Yes, there was a rumbling in the tumblins, and we decided that we were trying to figure out a way to how do we grow, or how do we position ourselves, like continue to differentiate ourselves from other people in other ways. And this is one of the weird parts of trying to be a non-traditional business in a traditional business world, because now we do have to fit a mold at some point. We can't just always be off, gallivanting in the fields, not paying attention. Right. Like we can't do that all the time. So going, okay, what are some businessy things that we should probably do? And obviously business cards is one of them, but I'm refusing to do that still. So I'm making digital ones. And it's going terribly, but that's beside the point. So the Chamber of Commerce was a step, and trying to, they asked why. Oh gosh, I went to the, oh my gosh. Oh, okay. So I went to the, making most of your membership. Welcome. And they did this thing where we got everybody in the room, and it was for new businesses, or if you, as a business, you can pay for a membership for one of your employees to become a member too. I don't really understand how that works, but it was learn everything about the chamber, and because there's so much going on, and they only had an hour for this, I understand why they did it this way, but I don't understand why they did it this way. So what they did was they had a guy come out, and I could tell that he does facilitations for businesses pay for him to come up and do facilitation discussions and events at their corporate headquarters, which immediately made me dislike him very much, because he just just add that air of he gets flown in to be hey, everybody, break up into groups of I don't know, between 3 and 8 right now. I'm going to hand out some cards here in a second. And while you're doing that, I got a question for you. I just want you to ponder and marinate on this while you're writing this down. Okay. We're going to come back to this. We're going to circle back to this here in a minute. So don't let this go. But really, this moment's really powerful right now, because you're here and you have a great opportunity ahead of you, but only if you decide to make the most of it. So my question for you, and again, you're going to be writing some stuff down, meet people, but my question for you is, what's one thing you need to get access to or an answer to before you leave this room to make sure that your investment in the chamber was worth it? How will you know? Who do you need to talk to? What do you need to get connected to? What event do you need to know about? write that down, and then we're going to go back here in a minute. And I was like, oh my God.
Like, my question is, of course, if you've just joined, how do you know what you need to know? Right? It's your job to tell me.
Yeah.
Right? If like I'm new and I just like, I don't know, moved and like expanded operations to this town, you mean, what event do I need to know about? What do you even do? Like, I don't even.
This.
Tell me what the chamber actually does, and then I'll tell you.
Yes. This is the crux of the matter. It assumes that somebody already knows all possibilities and needs more information about one of them. If, however, you're like me and did zero homework and just showed up, because what I was expecting was,
well, if somebody. It's a introductory meeting, why would you do homework?
Yes. Why? I was expecting, as I think one would rightly so, of like maximizing your membership, getting to, it was like for new members to get to know how to eat. But I was expecting them to go, at the chamber, we have a lot of opportunities for you to get plugged in and involved, and there's a lot of information out there. What we want to do today is walk you through where to find that information, some of our popular things, and our suggestion for you to get involved in various opportunities. But instead,
that'd be much more useful,
right? But what they don't want to do, they don't want to do that, because then it's quote unquote boring, and people are just being talked at. So we went around and they're like, write the one thing that you need to know, dude. And we then at our table discussed everything and then like ranked them for like whatever. And then around the table, and then he wrote them on the board as each table went through. And it was basically like, if you already have yours up here, just go to the next thing on your list. And then by the end of the table, people are like, by the last table, people are like, well, everything's probably on there. And I don't really have a whole lot to say, but let me tell you about a comment that I have because I was thinking. You're like, oh my gosh. So and
yes.
I know. So what ended up happening was people were just like, they had very specific questions for them. They're like, as a nonprofit, I would like to know what kind of events I could get connected with to get to, and then someone, so you only paid attention when your one thing was talked about, and then it all disappeared. Because when somebody's talking to you and you don't have the full outline, you don't know what's coming up next. So all the information is kind of important, but when you just show up and it requires you to be a bit selfish and only be engaged when your one thing is talking about, and then literally nothing else is important to you. So what they did is they put everything on the big paper, and then they had representatives from the chamber come up and talk about them individually. And basically it was like, well, if nobody wants to know about how to register for an event, we don't have to have that person talk about how to register for an event. So we can talk about some other stuff and just kind of work through everything as it comes up. And means that that the breadth of topics discussed was very, very narrow. And you end up walking out going, well, did I learn 30% of what the chamber offers? Did I learn 80% what the chamber offers? Or did I learn like 5%? Because I have no idea. I still don't know everything that it entails. So I still don't feel prepared for what is going on.
Yeah, that's that's bad. That's educational strategies gone wrong. That's what that is, right? That's how that works. What you're supposed to do, right? What you're supposed to do is then fill in gaps afterwards, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
Right. You're supposed to do that afterwards. You're supposed to give a long breadth of cover a lot of topics, right? Try and cover it all in a short amount of time, and then go, if you have specific questions about something, talk to me afterwards, or send an email, or here's the person you need to talk to, and blah, 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 blah.
Or say things like, okay, that's all really good. Here are some other things that we didn't have a chance to talk about. Boom, 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 boom. If you would like follow up on any of these things,
yes,
here are the people to email, right? Something like that, right? You can't just be like, all right, bye. Like, but wait. Because then what always happens is somebody like hijacks a conversation, and it's like, you spend an inordinate amount of time talking about like one singular thing, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that just like doesn't get talked about, and it's
Right.
like, oh, well, but I needed that. It's like,
yes,
it's like,
yes.
wait, no, this happened with our grading, our new software thing, like our student information system. That's what it's called. There you go. It's school, right? Like we had to get a new one because the old one, like, they stopped supporting it. They're like, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. So they sold it off, and somebody bought it, and then so we had a thing it doesn't work, by the way, still in the third week of school. I can't
Oh no.
use it. So that's cool. But like, so yeah, I never the next person to tell me the word seamless integration, I'm just gonna like throat punch them because it's just like a lie. Like it doesn't exist. But we had this whole thing, like this training, and this dude was just like yammering on and on and on and on about like all this stuff. And I was like, I looked at one of my teacher friends, I was like, nowhere did this person mention how to input grades in the grade book. That's some information I need, right? They just went on about like, you could make seating charts. And it's like, yeah, I have paper. I don't care. They're like, you can do this. Like, also don't care. Blah, 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 blah. Like all the like really extraneous features and all that stuff. And I was like, but grades though, like, where's that?
Yeah.
The thing I actually need, right? It just like goes on and on about this thing because they like want to show you all the cool, they want to talk about like the flashy features or like, here's the exciting stuff. You're like, I need the like skeletal system right first before you tack on all this other weird stuff. I need the foundation. Where's that? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yes. So that's where we had as well, because they were like, oh, let me just show you what your directory looks like. And then they kind of went on and they're like, oh, and here's how you can edit it. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I raised my hand and I said, what if we can't edit it? And then they stopped and they looked at me and they went, well, you'll need to talk to the person who's primary on your account. And I was like,
he's me.
I'm the primary. And
insert
then
Obi-Wan meme here. Of course I know.
He's me. Yes. Yep. And like, of course they look at me. And this again, where it's like, well, if we're just going to like be like jumping around things that don't really matter, this is something that's actually very important to me. And you're talking about it. So I'll take up some time because, you know, and turns out that whenever I had set up my account, which I set up for me as in the business, their system did not make me as primary. Which is
what
problematic. So yeah, I had to go in and they had to go in and connect it on the back end is what they said. And I was like,
what?
Cool.
How? Like I set up this account for my business. No, you didn't. Just kidding. Like, what do you mean? What is this? Oh my gosh. Why?
Yeah. Which is yes, which is fun.
Yeah, fun. That's the word for it. Fun.
So yeah, so that's we did decide, okay, we'll do this, but one of the aspects is now like, okay, now like we have to do more than just be a member, kind of in order to make the most of it. We have to go do stuff, which means going to events and things like that. So when I have my September is filled with businessy things, which is not fun. But we did get, because again, when you find this, I don't know if you have this when you're in your life where you're like, you're going to start something, but then you find out all the ancillary things that you actually need to like kind of do that initial activity. And then you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, like I have toys for toys and I have hats on hats. And this is not good. So because we joined the chamber, we, I started to think about business cards and we went down that road. And also because we joined the chamber, I can't like but I can't. I don't want to show up with just have like our generic pet sitter shirts on, because those aren't quote unquote professional, right? It's businessy, right? So now what do we got to do? Where it's businessy, we got to get polos. That's right.
Yes. I was going to say polos because that's what I wear basically every day, right? But it's fine.
Yes. So I got to get the polo, but what is so now we got to figure out what polos look like for us and do all that fun stuff and everything. So it was, we had to go through all that rigmarole of like, now, like, do we put our full logo on it? Do we just put our name? How do we do these things? It's
that's true. Just depends on the cost, right? Like that's how much you put on a polo. What's the embroidery cost for the little shirt front thing, right? Like then that's where that's the determining factor, because that gets insanity real quick. So
yes, well, and if you're Megan, she goes, how big of a logo can we put on the back? And I went, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, yeah, I want our logo on the back of it. And I was like, I don't think you understand
how polos work.
Yeah, well, A, how polos work, but two, like, it's going to be embroidered. So
yeah,
not only is it going
screen printed.
Yeah, it's not. They don't screen print these. This is going to be embroidered. So not only is it going to weigh, it's going to like triple the weight of the shirt, but also it's going to be like back armor plating.
That's true. Like a Ninja Turtle, right? Like,
yeah.
Just tell her, no, Megan, you're thinking of bowling shirts. That's different.
It's not. Oh my gosh. Business. Why don't we get bowling shirts? Oh my gosh.
See, bowling shirts. That's what you want. Logos on the back. It's bowling shirt, right? That's what it is. You see, not polo. That's
yeah.
Then you have then you can have like the weird vertical stripes, right? Or some other graphic dog bones. You can have like stripes, but they're dog bones, right? Boom.
Yes,
got them. Right.
Okay.
They always have like just down the front, like on each side of the button, there's like big stripe, right? Dog bone, a big dog bowl somewhere on the back, right? Bowling shirts are really weird, so I'm just trying to think about like really weird.
I mean, it definitely works. Yeah, because if you're going to do it,
you cat toy, right?
Yeah, you got to lean into it.
Yeah, all the way.
So we have those, and so I've been able to wear that a couple times, but yeah, so it's been just kind of an interesting experience of all the little things that come along with it. But we'll see how this goes. So that's all of our fun stuff. Maybe
it's very exciting, man. I don't know how you're containing your excitement with all of this.
I know.
Yeah.
So you're fully enjoying your air conditioning. It's sitting at 67 during the
lovely.
day.
Yep. Not quite that cold, but the kids are like, "Oh my gosh, it's so cold in here." I was like, "Yes, it is." That's. I told you. I told you. I was like, "Do not speak." They were talking about it, and they were like, "It's so cold." Like, and the other 6th grade classes, theirs got fixed also, I think. And so they're like, "It's so cold everywhere." It's like, just wait. It's like the other teacher, they don't even turn their heat on in the winter. They were like, "What?" I was like, "Yep." So be ready. Bring that hoodie to class because it's not getting better. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's just a good life hack. They'll make the rest of their life time.
Not really, because they're still haven't got them trained quite properly yet. So like they still just leave their junk everywhere, right? It's just like all over the place. Like whose cup is this? No one knows. Whose book? Nobody knows. What is this? No one knows.
Oh
Like
no.
someone's like, I had a jacket. There's just a jacket in my room, like a hoodie. I don't even know what it was doing. So I hung it outside my door with a post-it note that said, "Help, I'm lost" on it. And it's kind of my go-to strat. I just like hang it up on the wall and say, "Help, I'm lost."
That is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what it is. If I put it anywhere else, they'll never see it. Like I have a lost and found like table basically. Like my back table, I just like put all their stuff there. And they come in. Have you seen my? I don't look on the table. I don't know. I don't know whose stuff is what. Just look over there, and they're just like, "Oh, you found my thing." Like, yeah, because you left it in the middle of the floor. What are you doing, you numpty? Come on, get with it. So,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yes, they're so weird. But it's all right. So, managing to survive first couple weeks of school. Yeah, pretty much not too bad. Other than all the weird ancillary junk, like all these dumb meetings I have to have and all this stuff. Like, I love it. Like today, somebody came to talk to me about this, like, quote unquote situation, right? And I was like, we discussed this and solved this 3 weeks ago. Why are you bringing this up again? And they're like, oh, well, we just was like, this is already like, why are you making me do this again? I was like, we had a plan. I moved on with my life, right? Why? What is happening?
That's terrible.
So ridiculous. It's like, it's, other people, like not inside that grade level, right? They're like, oh, well, I was just wondering about this. Like, we already discussed. So like, well, what are you doing with us? We discussed this with all relevant parties already.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand where is this coming from? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, just so frustrating. But yes, other than that kind of stuff, right? It's always outside interference. That's my problem, right? Not the kids, although they're too loud all the time. But they're, whatever. This is normal.
They are.
This is like a normal
children.
Thing. Yes, they're children, and they just shout all the time.
Yeah,
they just are shouty. Again, we're at the age where, like, I'm gonna say this phrase. Oh, maybe nobody heard me. I didn't get the reaction I want. What if I say it again?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, no. Sometimes I'm like, I said something the other day, like, saying something louder doesn't mean it's funnier. I just looked at him. Yeah. I was like, just for future reference. Just remember that.
So everyone's clear. Right? Yeah.
And then, so we're working on it. We're working on that.
It's slowly but surely.
It's fine. It's fine. But it's just like, what are you doing? Why?
Oh no.
I did. Oh, I did have to go on a bit of a quest, right? So today, we implemented the first official science side quest.
Oh, okay.
As workshopped on this very program, ladies and gentlemen. History. Look at that.
Yes. And
listeners, you were part of the creation of this. There you go. Give yourself a round of applause. Good job.
That. Job, people.
But I was struggling with trying to think of the first thing to do, right? I was like, I don't know what to do, blah blah. And then because this is my way, right? Like, it's now September, right?
Mm-hmm.
Happy show anniversary, by the way.
Yes.
And we got and I was like, oh, it's technically almost fall. And then I remembered that Punkin Chunkin exists. Boom. This is my first project. Right. So
okay.
We are now, our project is throw pumpkin. Right. Now we're gonna do this. Like I needed a fake pumpkin. Right. So if I'm gonna have a project about flinging pumpkins, I need a pumpkin.
Sure.
And because I want to fling a pumpkin more than once, I need a not real pumpkin. Also, because I'm going to do this in that hallway, I need a not real. Right. That's important.
The scope is getting narrower and narrower.
Yeah. So we bring down. So again, right, it's after Labor Day, right? Fall decorations, blam, everywhere. Right. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to like every store trying to find a pumpkin that was suitable for my needs. Okay. This is a much harder endeavor than I anticipated. Right.
Oh no.
Because a lot of like the decorative pumpkins, they're made of like foam. And so they're really light. And so not good for accelerating through the air.
No.
I was going around like the dollar store, like Walmart, like everybody, like just any pumpkin I could find. I was like picking it up and like hefting it and kind of like tossing it. And then like, I'm sure I looked insane, right? Like kind of tossing it, kind of being like, no, shaking my head, putting it back in a bin, picking up something else, kind of like hefting it. Like,
oh my gosh, the pumpkin man's back.
So at the third store that I went to, I finally found like a little, like a cloth one, right? Okay. It's like about the size of a baseball.
Interesting.
And it's like cloth. It's like, yeah, and it's like stuffed. A lot of the other ones there, again, they were like a foam, like a styrofoam with like a coating on them. So I figured that's not really good for throwing.
No.
Because you don't have enough heft to get it to go, right? So there's not enough mass there to really make a good projectile. You know. So using my knowledge of throwing things at you when we were a child, I know that that's not going to fly very well.
I'm glad it could be beneficial. Look, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, see? And so and so like I found one that it's like a felt stuffed pumpkin. So I bought two just because I found one. I was like, buy both of these. They were $1. So I was like, I'm getting there. Here we go. I found it.
That's awesome.
So that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. So did you take it back and what are you expecting? What kind of materials are they going to have on hand to do
I'm going to go pumpkin? I told them I'm going to go just around. I'm probably going to go back to Walmart to the craft department or the dollar store to the craft department and like just pick up some like random stuff. I have some like things already at school, but I don't have a whole bunch. And so I'm going to go just sort of scour and just sort of like get some random materials like dowel roddy things, like rubber band, string, yarn, that kind of stuff. Like little, just stuff like that. Anything I could find that's cheap, basically. Kind of make a little stash. And then I told them, if you have like anything you want to bring from home, use that too, right? If you're like, oh, I have these sticks in my house, boom, done.
That works.
And so I told them, like, the plan is, I told them basically you have to make something to throw the pumpkin. So you can't like do it with your hand or your foot. You can't do it with your body, right? You can't like kick the pumpkin, right? That's
sure. Has some device.
Some device to throw said pumpkin. And you have until you need to register at least one attempt by the 29th. That's the last school day of September, I think.
Huh.
So you have basically until then to try this task. Now, I also told them you have unlimited tries. So like if you do it one day and it is really not good, and then 3 days later you want to do it again, that's fine.
Okay.
Because you can tinker with your plan or whatever. I also told them you are my guinea pigs So we're going to see how this goes, and we'll change it. We'll make changes as necessary. So just so you know, we're workshopping this on the fly. So like, I just told them that very clearly. Like, we're sort of making this up as we go. So as we notice problems, we're going to work to fix them and make it a better experience for everybody. That's the plan. So that's the plan. So just know it might not be perfect at first.
Okay, and what's their reaction through this? You're talking to them, like, what are they?
Most of them thought it was a pretty interesting idea. They were like, okay. Like, you could see some wheels turning. They thought it was cool. Yeah. Right. Of course, they're sixth graders, so they're like, well, what do you get if you win? I was like, well, being as that you are sixth graders, I don't know exactly, but it will probably be food related. They're like, okay, deal. Done. Let's go.
I accept your terms. Right.
Yeah, they're like, okay. I was like, it would probably be snack based. They're like, sweet. All right. Yeah. Let's go.
Jeez.
It's very, very straightforward. Very simple plan, right?
I mean, if it works, why would you
right.
Be bothered by it,
right? What I may do is just buy like a box of popcorn, and like the winners I'll just be like, I'll make them some popcorn in class. Like whatever day they want to have popcorn, I'll be like, okay, here you go, boom, you're done. Eat it while we're doing notes. There you go. Have at it.
I think this is a very good idea. I think.
Yeah, right. That's not cost effective. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the going plan right now. I'm going to dedicate one of my whiteboards to sort of the just information about the plan. And so, we'll see how it goes, right? We'll see what's up. Blah, blah. Some of them we're planning with a partner today. Because it's partner based. I figure that's a good partner plan, right?
Yes. I think that's a really good idea. Because it is so unique, right? I think that's part of it, of like, it is supposed to be off the wall a little bit and outside of their comfort zone. So I think it's important to have a little bit of somebody who you can go back and forth on with that.
Yeah. Well, and like if they do like bring stuff from home to add to their pile of stuff, right? Then like not one person is responsible for doing everything, right? They can be like, oh, I'll bring this straw if you bring some string, right? Like, you know what I mean? Kind of share that too. So, yeah. It's just like stuff lying around the house. I told them like, just find like nothing. Don't buy things. That's silly. Just like, if you have random stuff, be like, oh, I bet that'll work. Blah. And if it doesn't work, take it home, try something else. It's like, who cares, right?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's not that big of a, I mean, it is a big thing, but it's not that big of a thing at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Because it's just going to be like, I'm going to give them points for this, but like, if they do it, they're going to get points for it, right?
Sure.
I'm going to do some more. I have some other ideas for like more, because I'm going to switch around. Like, it's not going to be the same all the time. So like, sometimes I think it's going to be like research based, right? They're going to have to like do something, like, and that can be like an individual, just like when we have free time, just here's the guidelines, work on this. Whenever it's done, give it to me. And it's done, right? I'll check you off the list, right? But like that way it's a mix, because like not everybody likes to work with other people. Some people really thrive doing things by themselves. Some people need to like have somebody else there to help them. So like trying to figure out a balance so it's not all the same thing, right?
Right.
And I do have a devious idea that I've been kicking around in my head for several years. And I think this is the time to do it. Right. So I don't know what. Right. But I want it to be like a research or like a presentation project. Right. Some kind of presentation project where you have to like, I don't know exactly, but I want to give them, it's going to be in partners, but your partners are not going to be in the same class as you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that. And I would assign the partners, right? I would just pick randomly.
Yes.
But I want to, so that like everybody will be responsible for something, but they won't be like able to like really talk to each other in person. They can like use, because we have like one-to-one devices, right? And so we have all these tools. So why not use them?
Well, yeah. I mean, start doing that collaboration, like remotely, with that remote collaboration.
Yeah,
basically.
right. And it's going to be the same thing. Like you'll have a deadline, and it's going to be like 3 weeks or whatever, and you have until then to finish your part. Boom. Done.
Yes, I like this very much.
I think that might be cool. I don't know if I want to be like, okay, everybody in this class is responsible for like this section. I don't know if I want to assign that or be like, these 3 things have to get done. Figure out who's doing what. Go. I feel like that might be a bit much. I might have to assign tasks, maybe.
Yeah, I think especially for the. If you decide,
I'm not going to do this until like later in the year.
Yeah,
that's going to be that's like a springtime one, right? Like.
Very much so. I think that would be neat to do that, and I think you would need to assign that, especially if it's the first time.
Yeah, I mean,
later if you decide to do like 2 of these, maybe the second round you could have them pick it up.
Yeah, but it might be good just to be like, okay, do this and then go, or just like randomly assign them one. That could be better. Just like spin a little wheel. Like, okay, you are doing this. Boom. Like, but just assign them the piece. So it have to be something that has like 3 distinct sections because I have 3 different groups. That's why it's 3, right? So like, but I think that would be fun. I've been thinking about that for a long time, and I've had no place to put it, for lack of a better term. Right. Like I told them this too. I was like, I have several ideas about like projects or things that we could do, but I don't have a good place to put it. Right. It doesn't like fit anywhere.
Right.
So if we make it just like the extra thing, then it doesn't really matter. So we can just be like, yeah, and just stick it somewhere.
Well, again, low stakes, right? Everybody knows, okay, this might be a little weird at first, but we're going to be okay. Like, we're all going to survive. It's not a big deal. It's all good.
Yeah, just like trying it out, seeing how it goes. This is the problem with my methodology, right? Like a lot of times I will, like, I don't know, whenever we have meetings about this, like everybody's like, oh, you have to like plan everything meticulously before you start. And I'm like, nah, we're just gonna do it. And then we're going to see what happens. And then we're going to fix it for next time.
Well, especially.
But like I tell the kids that going in, like I'm very honest with them. Like, listen, this might not work, but we're going to try it. Right. We're just going to see. Like, I don't know either. It's a mystery.
Well,
so we're gonna
and I think that's what's important, is that you're involving the students with it too, because they get to be part of that science process of trial and error, and it becomes much more. Then it takes the project and it makes it so much more than the project. Right? And that's
right. We're doing other things too at the same time.
Yes. Well, that's cool. Well, I can't wait to hear about the picking all the pumpkins, chucking all the pumpkins.
Yes. I just thought it was a good one. I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. So I don't know what else we're going to do later. But, whatever mood strikes me for next project one will be in November if I do it this way. So got to think of something. I'm going to see where we are too in science, because it'll be rock related. So I could do something rock related, which is good.
Rock throwing.
Oh, no. Don't throw. Don't
rock
throw
chucking.
The rocks. No.
Oh, fine. No, whatever. Okay. Ugh. But
yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some things that have also been described as not good.
Well, I was talking about, who throws good rocks.
See? But that was probably a much more unbiased opinion.
That's true. It is. It's a much more unbiased opinion. And it's a much more true story because we know that hobbits throw rocks, right? I don't really know the source of this, but like in every Lord of the Rings video game and or movie, hobbits are really good at throwing rocks, people.
Yes.
It's just like, I didn't encounter this in the Silmarillion anywhere, but maybe somebody more learned than I could tell me the source of this information.
Well, didn't
maybe it's just in Lord of the Rings because they throw rocks at people in there all the time. But anyway, listeners, it is time for the Hobbit movie retrospective. Dun, 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 dun. Trilogy, I guess. Now, already, Colin is angry because it is well documented that Colin and I have very different opinions on this particular topic. I'm in the camp of like, it's not so bad. And Colin is in vehement hatred, I think is that word. I think that's probably...
Yes. I mean, so,
yes.
It's hard. Because I don't know where you want to start with this. Or where you want to start with this, really.
Well, I don't really know either. I guess we'll just start at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the hole in the ground lived a hobbit.
I think
so okay, so the I don't really know where the best place to start either. I guess we just start with we'll start with your thoughts and then we'll go from there. I'll provide some good. I do have some negative thoughts, right? About like there are definitely some problems and some interesting choices that were made. We'll start here. Oh. The first problem I have. Okay. This is a big one. So I realize I'm pretty sure the release of these movies was handled by different production companies, right? Because New Line Cinema did Lord of the Rings. Okay. And I believe The Hobbit, it was like MGM and like Warner Brothers because they bought at weird things, studio buying, selling things. However, a big problem I have on the theatrical extended edition DVD releases, which I own. Okay. It's well known that the colors of the discs bother me. Okay. In The Hobbit or in Lord of the Rings, it's like green for the first one, and then red, and then blue. Okay. And The Hobbit, it's red, and then green, and then blue. It's totally, it just looks bad on my shelf. Okay. That's all I'm saying. It really,
wow, they really did.
They really got that one wrong.
Huh. That's bizarre.
It is really bizarre. And I'm like, what is this? Why? On my shelf, it looks odd because of this design choice. I just want to say I'm not a fan of that choice in particular.
Yeah. Well, because this was hold on. I was trying to remember. Oh yeah, Guillermo del Toro was a part of the production of this, right? Didn't he?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because Peter Jackson was not involved in these. That's something.
Yes, he was.
Wasn't he?
Yes, no. He was. Yes, he was. But some of it was a different studio, though. I think is the problem.
Okay. Well, I guess were they both involved? Because I know that Del Toro had a different vision for these for each of these movies. And I will go ahead and just say right now that the decision I don't know whose decision it was to make these into a trilogy. And
that's the studio. I know that was the studio because I think Peter wanted to do two.
So what happened was Del Toro was originally set to do all of them, but he was let go because of disagreeing on what to do, and then Jackson stepped in.
I can't imagine a Guillermo del Toro Hobbit movie. Let's be honest. That's not good.
Yes. So I feel I wish that that this had not been a trilogy. And I know what they were trying to do is keep it in the same vein as, there was a Lord of the Rings trilogy, so let's make a Hobbit trilogy. And dear listeners, if you go back and you listen to our previous episodes where we walk through the book, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't think there's a whole lot that you could put into this. Seems pretty brief. Kind of has some deep moments. It has some other not deep moments. It's a lot to put into a trilogy. And you're right.
What they did was they put all those times where they're like, some time passed. They just put all that time in the movie. Right. That's what they, whenever the Bilbo's just standing around for like 3 days in a row, not doing anything, it's added.
Yes. Yes. It's what they did.
Yeah. So there are some, I did go appendix diving. Yeah. So like I read through some of the unfinished tales and the appendix 3 of Lord of the Rings, where some of the stuff from the movie came from. Right.
Okay.
So I know there some of that stuff is there and it's around, and like they kind of added it in. Again, the timeline is slightly off because like in Tolkien universe, nothing happens quickly. Everything happens like over 12 years, right? Or longer. So, but those events that are relevant, they did put in there. So like the whole finding Thrain at Dol Guldur or whatever, the wandering, that is in there someplace, right? The stuff about the Battle of Moria is in there, right? That's all in there in the appendix. So some of that stuff they reference and talk about and put in there is material that exists, but like sort of outside the Hobbit, but it's in there. So like some of it is told like canonically, like it's told to Frodo after the battle of after Lord of the Rings is over and they're at the crowning of Aragorn. Spoilers for Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Like Gimli and Frodo and like Merry and Pippin and Gandalf are all hanging out, and they ask Gandalf about the whole Lonely Mountain thing, and Gandalf tells them parts about what happened. So like that's where some of the information that's not in the book comes from. Like, where did Gandalf go anyway? Gandalf tells him that.
Yeah.
Tells him some other stuff. So like that's there. There's some stuff in the appendix that's really good. About like what Thorin was doing, like when Gandalf meets Thorin before, and all that. Like they talk about the plan to go meet Bilbo and all that stuff. Like that's all in there. So there is some other background information that exists. I'm just say that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know.
And I know, a lot of these movies were very intensively like labored over in the very beginning with I was reading some stuff about some of the production of in the early days. They were writing for 12 or plus hours a day to create these things, and how when Del Toro left, they were saying that it would have been it was kind of a loss, and people thought it would have had much more of a fantasy element to it, and as opposed to some of the visuals that my gosh, my brain Jackson. Yeah. So Jackson was bringing into it. And I think that's, I can't really imagine what a Del Toro version of this would look like.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, I guess the other elephant in the room is the film medium that Jackson shot it in, right? It's like a weird camera speed. Right, I don't remember off the top of my head what it is.
Well,
but he shot it in like a very high camera speed, and it's also shot for like. It was released. Don't forget, it was released in like IMAX 3D.
Yes. Right? I was just about to say
huge format, right? When you watch it back on like a normal TV, it looks kind of weird sometimes. Like it's a very different aesthetic. than like Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
But part of that is the high frame rate and the large format that he released in. And as somebody who saw all 3 movies in IMAX 3D, it was kind of rad, right? I'm not gonna lie. It was sweet, right? It was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that was but I mean, because when did these movies come out officially? When did they? Was it 2010?
Somewhere around there.
When did they come out? Gosh, yeah, because
I was reading it the other day and then I forgot.
Yeah, I've completely no idea. Oh, yeah, 2012 was the first movie.
Yeah.
2013, 2014.
14, yes.
This was still in that era where 3D movies were trying to make another comeback, right? Like this is where like
there was a lot of them came out.
Yes. And I understand why the decision was made. I just feel like it was not appropriate because
it doesn't hold the same timelessness value, right? So like again, if you watch Lord of the Rings and if you watch other contemporary movies like Harry Potter, right? One of those movies looks really good today in 2023, and the other one is Harry Potter, right? And so like like it looks dated, it looks kind of like wonky. And so, yes, there was a lot of talk about like his decision to move away from like live action makeup. And there's a lot more CG in this movie and a lot of stuff. And I don't know if that's due to like budgets and stuff and what, but like studio pressure and to use all the fanciness. But, for various reasons, things got like wonked out. And so it does have a bit of a visual like weirdness to it. But so there is that, right? And then there's a couple other additions that are odd, right? And we'll talk about those here in just a minute. But like, just to start at the beginning, right? Like the opening of the movie, pretty excellent, right? Yeah. Like the opening of the first movie, The Hobbit, The Unexpected Journey.
Yes,
like it's really good, right? We get a lot of the book, right? We're staying pretty close. We're doing a lot of stuff with the party and all the dwarves showing up and all this, right? We do have, Thorin a bit more emo in the movie than like in the book, right?
He's like immediately more much more broody emo, like right. Yes, already from the very beginning. Now he's not the most cheerful fellow in the book, but like this is definitely like an immediate darker tone. Like this is an angsty, like emo, like kind of person.
Okay, now that you did say that, though, if I can find this page, right, I would like to say where I believe some of this character design came from, right? Okay. So I believe it was here, bookmark, yeah. All right. So, if I'm going to read you this just small excerpt from Appendix A from the Return of the King, right?
Okay.
This is sort of Thorin's minds. This is before before he meets up with Gandalf and they decide to go on this quest for the Lonely Mountain, right? It says, the years lengthened, the embers in the heart of Thorin grew hot again, and he brooded on the wrongs of his house and the vengeance upon the dragon that he had inherited. He thought of weapons and armies and alliances, and as his great hammer rang in his forge, but the armies were dispersed, and the alliances broken, and the axes of his people were few, and the great anger without hope burned in him as he smote the red iron on the anvil.
Okay.
Now, this is a broody guy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So some of that inspiration and character development comes directly, I believe, from that exact paragraph.
That's when you put it like that, it kind of
right. So that's a weird. So like I think aesthetically the first movie it starts out pretty strong, right? We do good. We do all this stuff. The troll thing is pretty funny. They kind of play into the humor, right? Where it's kind of like they're in peril, but like like we talked about in the book, like they're in peril, but like just a little bit of peril, right? It's like a wee bit of peril, no problem. The problem, there's an Azog problem in this book, in the movie, right? So,
yes.
so the first major like lore problem that we have is the Azog problem because he's dead.
Yeah.
Right. He's a wee bit dead because at the Battle of Moria, right, where Azog kills Thror, Dane Ironfoot actually kills Azog.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes. The reason he's included, I don't know why he's in the movie, right? And I feel like he has not good character motivation, right? His character motivation in the movie is, well, I killed your grandpa and I almost killed your dad, so I feel like I need to kill you. Yep. Sounds good. Right? And so that's not a very strong motivation.
Mm-mm.
Right? I feel like a choice that would have made more sense, right? If you replace the Azog character with Bolg, who is Azog's like son, whatever, then the motivation becomes, now I want, like, it's a revenge cycle, right? Yes. My dad killed your dad. Your cousin killed my dad, right? Now I want to kill you, right? This like revenge motivation makes a lot more sense, And then you could have had, just if you have the main guy be Bolg, and then the other guy be the as so too far unnamed bodyguard of Bolg, right? You could give him a name. You could make up a name for him. Like that's a bit clunky, right? But none of the other main orcs have names. So like you just be like, you go. Give him a crazy visual design. Done. He's a bad guy.
Yes. It would have worked.
I feel like that motivation like makes more sense. So you could still have like a baddie, right? You could replace random wargs with like a baddie, but at least it's lore appropriate and he has an actual motivation.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That's the problem, right? That's one of the big problems.
Some say.
But yeah, other than that, I don't have any problems with the first movie. I like it. Again, I'm on record, I believe, as saying that's my favorite one.
Yes. So. Now, I will say that this, I think this may stem from the early production because Del Toro is on record saying that the first movie was actually supposed to be a standalone movie, and that he envisioned, because it was originally supposed to be two movies. And the first movie of The Hobbit was supposed to be a standalone. And then the second movie he envisioned as being a bridge into Jackson's world. So you can kind of, there's still a lot of that in the first movie feeling very, very self-sufficient. Right? I don't get the feeling that it is any, it all feels very nicely wrapped up, and for the most part makes sense. Besides the Azog, that notwithstanding, I will give that the first movie does at least that, and that's so like kudos for that aspect.
Yeah, I liked. I watched them again this last week with Susan, and she likes them too. So we watched that one. And I didn't really have any other thoughts on that one. I like it. It's paced pretty good. It doesn't really feel like too long, right? You get some good, interesting things, right? I feel like, I like that they tried to do something like visually interesting with all the dwarves because, like, again, most of them are basically not important, and like,
right,
just like there's a couple they gave some of like Balin stuff to like Boffer, right? Just to give another dwarf a chance to speak, right? You gotta
Yes. Yeah, they did
I'm
take
okay with that, right?
some of those lines and spread them out for sure.
Yeah, which is cool. That's fine, right? Give them more. Like there's 13 of them, and in the book you hear from 3.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really get a lot, right? You get and so like having them be very distinct visually, having them be like a little bit like you could there's just like you they even in like 1 or 2 lines they deliver like some like quirk and you kind of understand what their character is about a little bit, you
Uh-huh.
know. Even like in the first movie, like you don't that like it's just what a couple of these guys are like serious dwarf warriors. Some of them are also there, right? So like already like Dwalin isn't you want Dwalin around,
Mm-hmm.
Ori, whatever. Like it's fine, but uh, so you can. That's a good choice, I think, to make them sort of visually distinct. They do look weird with their hair and stuff, but like also the fact that a lot of them don't have very large beards, and dwarfs are known for beards. But that's other, whatever. Um, like there's some interesting choices, right? There are times when the movie is too brown,
Mm-hmm.
but like
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
even the DVD cover, the photo, the movie release posters for these, they're not they're all very rather drab and
it's
dark.
weird. It's weird, right? It's there's some weird color watching happening, but like overall, I think the first one follows pretty good, right? I forgot to write down a lot of notes while I was watching this, so like I'm doing this by memory, but like the first one does good. They throw in like some random lore stuff in there, right? And it's pretty,
Yes.
so it's not too bad. I like it. I like the first one. Okay, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I do think I just go back to the Azog thing. I think it's an interesting choice to introduce that nemesis into the. It's
so
I mean,
early.
it's
right?
really
Like,
early, right? And like we read the book, like but I know what they were trying to do. They needed a driving factor, right? They needed
yes.
a clock to push things along, to push the plot along,
Yeah.
to give things a sense of urgency. Like, because now, like, in the book, you're just kind of like, oh, we'll get there. Right? We'll get to the mountain when we get to the mountain. And now it's like, no, we have to go. Like, we must go.
Yeah.
And we're being pushed there, which makes it definitely changes that tone of it aspect as well.
Yes. I mean, that's not bad either, right?
No, it's
Other
not.
than like who it is, which is weird
Yes.
choice, but whatever.
Okay.
They have the big bad. They, and it ties in with the rest of the story anyway. So like, it's all right. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah. And then we get to the desolation of Smaug.
Yeah, this is the one that is my least favorite.
Okay,
right.
that's interesting. It's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
It's too long.
Yeah. This is because what's its runtime? What it's
like
2 hours?
Years. A million years.
2.5 hours, like. Maybe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But like,
yeah. Ugh.
Yes. So it starts off good, right? We're doing good. We see our boy Beorn, right? Doing pretty good there.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Mirkwood stuff is pretty good, right? This is definitely Jackson leaning into like the weirdness that he used to do, right? Because it's very like it feels uncomfortable to watch. Like
yes. Yeah, it is not yeah, this is Jackson kind of flexing a little bit here, being like, yeah, this is not pleasant.
Yeah, it's like fear and loathing in Mirkwood. It's really kind of weird, right? Like I don't but it does a good job of like portraying the discomfort. And I think that part is good too, right? It's pretty follow along. Gandalf's like, oh, sorry, actually I gotta go. Bye. And like runs away. Like,
yep.
We do add in the stuff. Is it here? No, who's the other one? Yeah, with the some of the Elrondy stuff when they're in Rivendell. That's in the first one, but
yeah,
you set that scene with those familiar characters, right, and that pays off here a little bit. But so I think it's all right. You get that's the other thing in the Hobbit. You get that message driven home already of like the Gandalf believes in like good and good deeds, right? It's kind of like the message overall of the movie, right? Like just doing the right thing, boom. And so,
yes, it definitely gives Gandalf more of a how am I going to phrase this? Like an opinion or voice in that matter. Because in the books, Gandalf is just more like, I don't know, could be, could
like
be.
he's there.
Yeah,
like, and so, yeah, but that kind of, you get that said in the first one. I forgot about that part. Sorry. And then, when you move to the Desolation of Smog, it's all pretty good up until the elves, right? And like even that part's like fine, but now we have the big problem of the whole series, right? We run into the Tariel problem. Right? It's just it's a bit weird, right? Like I don't care that we have like another elf to do like cool elfy stuff, because that's fun. We like that. We like cool elfy stuff, right? We liked Legolas in the original trilogy, doing things there. We like, I don't even really care that Legolas is here. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like,
no, it's not important.
Because we know that he's from the Woodland Realm. We know that his dad was the Woodland Realm king. So, like, it makes 100% sense that there'd just be a Legolas here, right? Like,
it should. And yes, and I don't. And again, we're pulling on the name recognition. We're pulling on the cachet of having him reprise his role in this, but for the all intents and purposes of this movie, he could have just been in a background scene, like walking by, right? And like, yeah, there he is, right? Because it's not necessary to have him here. But you're right. It's fine. It makes sense. But yeah,
yeah. The real problem is the Tariel problem, because like this weird like love story, like why stop putting love stories in my movie? Why are you doing this? Stop it. Like I know that you feel like you need to replace Aragorn and Arwen, right? Like the forbidden love between the elf and the human, right? And then but like there's actually stakes to that, and that's like historically grounded, and not historically grounded, but like lore grounded, with like Beren and Luthien and like a long line of similar things happening in the Tolkien verse, right? So like in order for Arwen to love Aragorn, she has to give up something. Like this weird thing is like, but what? The dwarf's cute though, right? And all this really is now. I understand why this is happening, okay? Because we have to make Fili and Kili's ultimate deaths actually like mean something, as opposed to in the book where they're like, oh yes, they're also dead. Anyway, would you like some tea? Like they just so it is. We do have to like. This is a way to like make those characters more important, right? Like now we have stakes in like with Fili here. Like it's important, and he has an arc, and he is at the forefront, and he's part of this story, because if nothing happened at all and then they were just like, oh, he died, like there's no gravitas to the death.
No.
And it doesn't have any impact on the audience whatsoever. Kind of like it doesn't have any impact when you read the book whatsoever. And you're just like, oh,
turns out
that one guy died too. Okay. Yeah. Like
yeah. But to use that through the Tariel thing, like it is just weird to now all of a sudden say, here's a brand new character who's great on their own, right? And cool to see that, great, introduce a new character, strong, whatever. But then like, oh, really the only reason that Tariel's here is to be in this weird love triangle, so that later on it's like didn't need to do that. It does kind of ruin the introduction of that character, because it's like it's really only for this one thing.
Yeah. So like if you want to put her in there, if you want to have a lady elf character doing cool lady elf stuff, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Yes.
Like but like it does feel a bit forced, right? A little bit. And it's whatever. And then so that part happens. They escape the lake town. I do like the escape from the elven halls, right? I like the barrel thing. Okay, I don't care. I like like the rapiding down the barrels and running away from the orcs. It's weird that the orcs are there chasing them again, but whatever.
Yeah. Again, not needed. They're already in the barrels fighting for their lives. Like we don't need to heighten the stakes here at all. Like
but
it was not
is at least like fun, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like fun and like it's in a very enjoyable sequence to watch, right? Like it's a very again, this part of the story is just them walking forever.
Yes.
And nothing is happening. Right? In the book, it's just like, and they floated down the river. Like the dwarves are just in the barrels and you don't see them. That's not a good movie. Okay. So like this at least brings some stakes and some like fun, right? And so like I'm okay with that. It's fun. I like it. The escape, right? And all that. I like that part. Right.
Sure.
I can't help but giggle at the part where like Bobber like fights in the barrel. It's just funny. I like it.
Right. Because right, that's what brothers would do. Right. Yeah, sure, we're dying and it's just in peril, but also you're on my side, right?
Yeah, so that part's fun. Yeah. And then we meet Bard. That's okay. Bard is also a bit of a broody boy, right? But then like the Lake Town stuff, like the master and the guy in black whose name I can't even remember because he's not important really. That whole thing is like, okay, I get it. You are discount Wormtongue. Okay?
Yes.
So like you're like dollar store Wormtongue. Okay, and then this other guy is just like a greedy buffoon. But like they're making like weird jokes and like their whole scene goes on like way too long. And it's just like a whole thing, like this is not needed. Like,
no.
I don't like that part.
Because
like, I get it, you're a bad guy. Like,
but again, the payoff here. This is again where, like we said, like you said, of like this is them stretching this material. Like and I get it, going like, oh, what if we like really got into Lake Town and like really, like let's really understand what's going on and figure out how terrible these people actually are and all this stuff. But it's not. And I understand, again, this is like, well, let's make people really care about this because in the end, the town's going to burn, right? And people are going to be pointing fingers. So like we need to do all of this stuff so you can really see what's going on. But like, yeah, discount Wormtongue, not necessary.
Have to make like weird jokes about animal testicles. Is that necessary? No, that's ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Stop it. Like, like, what's grosser than eating that cherry tomato? I know. What have we done?
Yes. Like, we can one this up. Yes, let's do that. That's definitely necessary. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah, so that part is whole weird. Like, I get it. But like you said, we have to set the scene and we have to put the stakes up because we have to know that this is a corrupt place. We have to know that the people are suffering and we have to care about them for when Smaug does come and, burns it all to ground. Like, we have to have a stake, right? We can't just be like, yep, there was a town by the lake. Anyway, just gonna, many days later, we reached the river by the mountain.
Well, and also at this time, we're given the, in the book, this is, I think, is this where they also introduced that like Bard has the super secret special arrow? Is that later, right? Is that comes
might be later a little bit.
Might be later.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. I don't remember because in the book they're like, yes, Bard is there. Anyway, like there's like a dude named Bard here, and then they like leave. So that comes after Smaug is awakened, I think, or whatever. But like, okay,
right? Because I'm trying to.
When
remember
they talk
the pacing
about
of this book, the movie, because it is weird. Because then this is we're at Lake Town, and then they leave and they go up, and this is where he accidentally wakes up Smaug, right? And after he finds the Arkenstone, yeah. I was trying to. This is where the movie for me just starts to get super super choppy because then because I know one part that again, this trying to imbue super special significance to things that aren't necessary. In the book, Bard just happens to have this black arrow and he's like, you've never failed. Here we go. Shoot you off. But like in the movie, it's like a big deal that he has this arrow. And it's like, it's known to be the only thing that can kill Smaug.
Yeah. Well, and we get like, we don't know in the book till like later. They're like, oh yeah, anyway, Bard is actually descendant of the last king of Dale. And that's, handy. We don't learn that until Bard like magically speaks Thrush, right? Like, oh man,
which what a much better payoff in a movie to have that.
No, that would be so goofy.
No,
turns out Bard's a Disney princess and can talk to birds. Like, come on, that's
fine, whatever. Anyway, I would have much liked to see that in the height of it. The little Thrush land on his shoulder, and he turn and he like whistle something back, and then the bird, like, I don't know, does a jig and jumps off his shoulder. Like, yeah,
folds his socks and puts them on the clothesline, and like, oh, I don't know. Whenever they show that part where the Thrush is like knocking on the wall, I started laughing uncontrollably, and Susan was like, "What is the matter with you?" I was like, "Listen, did you know that thrushes can talk?"
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I don't. Again, now we start. This is where, to me, the movie, like, just like, I'm going to say the word goofy, like goofy things start to happen, or like, I don't, with the orcs attacking the town now, right? And now,
yeah, that's weird.
Like, right? Legolas is here now.
Forced contrivance of like, again, this is the orcs don't have their motivation is bad, right? There's like, oh, they're dwarves, so we should kill them.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the only motivation. That's not a very strong character motivation, right? Like, because they're not even after like Thorin. It's like Feely, Achille, and Boffer, and the one with the ear trumpet. I don't even know who that is.
I have no idea.
Like, I don't. I don't even know who that is now. Like, I watched all 3 movies this last week. No idea what that guy's name is. Like, is it Oin or is it? It's not Gloin. I know who Gloin is, but like, it's weird. Anyway, so yeah, that part's weird. We get the weird like send off to go to the mountain, right? Takes them forever, and then they find the door. That part's good. I like that part.
Yeah,
that part's good. And then like the real money though is once Bilbo is actually in the mountain with Smaug. This is the best part of the entire movie.
Yes,
right? Like, yeah. we sort of glossed over the part with Gollum in the cave. That part is really good.
Oh, yes.
Too, right, in the other one. But like this part's great, right? Like this part is excellent.
Well, and I think I remember reading that Smaug was the first thing they started working on, and it was the last thing to be finished for the movies because they knew they had to nail Smaug. Well,
he's great. He's a great dragon, right? He's excellent. Looks excellent. Benedict Cumberbatch is magnificent, right? As the dragon, right? Yes. And so that whole thing is just good. I really like it.
Yep. I agree. I think Smaug was a good. They did nail his development there.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I feel like now is a good time to just sort of talk about like, sort of Martin Freeman in general, Bilbo. Like,
yeah,
I think his performance as Bilbo is really good.
Okay,
right. I really like it. I think he does a good job of being. He does a really good job of like putting across like Bilbo is, even though he's a burglar, he's honest. He's a very sincere person.
Yes.
Right. He is like struggling to understand the world that he's found himself in. Right. I think that really shows in this performance. I think he does a really good job. I don't want to, before I forget, I don't want to undervalue Martin Freeman as Bilbo. I think it's excellent.
I personally don't have any problem with any of the performances in this that I can remember. Like, I feel like everybody is really like, I don't think it's I don't think there's any issue with performers in any of these movies that makes me kind of cringe at all. I don't know. Do you in general, did you have any
No, I don't. It's
okay.
the writing that lets it down in some spots, right?
Yes.
But I just wanted to say that right now
Sure.
while I was thinking about this part of him in Erebor with Smog. Like, it's really good. And I really just like I like his performance a lot. I think he did really good. So I just wanted to say that, just
Sure.
why I had it on my mind.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but yeah, that's basically the end of this movie, right? Like, they make Smog angry.
No.
It's weird.
Because then we've got to throw in a couple. Don't we have to throw in the Gandalf thing, right? Where he goes to Dol Guldur?
He gets captured in Dol Guldur.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
We have to have that random side quest pop up here.
That's true.
Right now,
because that's where he finds Thrain, right? He finds Thrain there. Now in the book, in the writing, I don't think he finds Thrain at Dol Guldur at this time, but he does find him. It's weird. The timeline's weird, but
okay.
Yeah, so we do find that he's alive.
So help me with this, because is this scene and stuff, this actually is retold some other place?
Yeah.
Right. It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like it's in some of the appendices and stuff. That's like when or maybe that's in Unfinished Tales, right? This is, I think, when Frodo's like, "Yo, tell us about that." Gandalf says like, "Oh yeah, and I also had to go do this." So there is some writing about like, where did Gandalf go when he like disappears, right? Like, what the heck is he doing?
Okay.
Right? He's at investigating Dol Guldur and the necromancer, right? And discovering that it is actually Sauron, right?
Yeah.
That is actually happening at this time, right? So
so Thrain's alive during this, and that's what I was also confused about.
Now that part I don't really. That part is a little bit unclear, right? Like, he's like, because at some point Thrain has been captured, right? Because Sauron wanted the ring back.
Oh, right.
Because he's collecting the rings of power. Okay, so in this part of the timeline, whenever he has not like announced himself as being like, "I'm back, sucker," right? He is like looking for things that will help him regain his strength, and he is actively looking for the One Ring. But as Gollum has it in a cave somewhere, he can't find it. So he's also trying to find the other rings, right?
Okay.
He is trying to get the ring wraith dudes to come back. He's looking for the dwarf rings. Like, he wants the elf rings, but like, he didn't make those. So like, he wants them, but he didn't make them, so they're not like villainous. That's why Gandalf can wear the elf ring, right? Because Celeborn actually made that and not Sauron. Anyway, that's enough of that. But so he's looking for the dwarf rings, and he wants Thrain's ring. He can't find all of the dwarf rings because some of them have been eaten by dragons, and so they're gone.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's looking for those because he needs them to help regain his strength. That's why he's hunting for Thrain. That's why Thrain has been captured, because he wants the ring.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yes. So there is stuff about that.
Okay. Well, and then we also right at the very end, isn't this when because the movie ends with Smog having been
flying away towards Lake Town,
having been covered in gold, right? Because they used his fire to restart the forges.
Yes. They're trying to defeat him, right?
Yes.
And they're trying to defeat a dragon with no plan, right?
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. And again, this is me going visually very stunning, right? Like, visually, but also like, this is just silly. This is where I'm like, okay, like this is a tiny bit silly here, isn't it? Like, anyway.
And that's true. And some of that does go on for too long, right? There's a little bit too much of that.
Sure.
Like, some is okay. Some is fine. Some makes sense. It's a little too much. Just like pacing wise, like, it's a little too much. But then, they do cover him with the gold, And I think that might be like a slight reference to that, he is referred to as like gold covered because he like has gold stuck in his scales from laying on it so long.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a allusion to that, maybe a little bit. But there's a weird place for the movie to end, right?
Uh-huh.
Especially because when the third movie starts, he's dead in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. This is for the movie that's called The Desolation of Smaug, which I know is also referred to as like the mountain and the area of his living,
it's
but
the
like
area that he burned. Right?
Yes, but also the double meaning like the destruction of Smaug, right? The ruin of Smaug. That doesn't happen until the third movie, which is I know like they were trying to live on a cliffhanger there, but that was a weird one. That was a very odd way to start the third movie. And I cannot disagree more emphatically that was I hate that so bad.
I mean, they were saving all the climaxes for the third movie, right? But yeah, it's a bit weird to just do that.
Yeah.
Right. And to have Smaug die it's literally like 20 minutes in the movie. Like, oh, well. Okay then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we start to see the descent of what did you think of the depiction of Thorin at this point? As he's kind of spiraling, looking for the
I actually kind of liked it, right? Okay. I like this part. I like where he kind of the slow descent into madness. And even the part where they, when the other dwarves, everybody leaves Lake Town, right? Bard is leading them up, right? Dealing with that really annoying discount Wormtongue guy. And the other dwarves come up and Bilbo's like running out. He's like, nope, you guys don't really want to be here right now because it's not going well at all. Like, I like
it is well done there.
I like that part. So I like the full sort of descent into now it kind of, it's like this is where we talked earlier about like Thorin being a little bit too emo, right? I feel like it kind of makes a little bit of sense because like it would be real weird if he went from like happy-go-lucky guy to like full-on like brooding villain. It'd be a bit much, right? So
sure,
yeah, it makes sense, and he does. But I like this descent part where he like gets more and more like manic and like he's like real paranoid, right? And he's real, so you can really tell that it's affecting him quite strongly. Like it's already kind of been a slow build. Like you can already kind of tell like the closer he's been getting, like he's acting a little bit weird, but like now that he's in there, it's like full on, and it's nuts, right? Like, but I like it. I think it's a good job of that.
Okay, yeah, I agree. It definitely makes it more. I think they hit the tone pretty well with the with what's happening here. Of like, it really is a descent of kind of the uncoming of who he was before.
Yeah, I think it's a good job. But then like the constant like I don't know, all of the stuff with like the Lake Town survivors though, I feel like it draws out way too much. Like when they're with Bard and all the people in Dale, right? And again, with that stinking dude, that's just why do we have to keep coming back to discount Wormtongue? Like just let him go away already. Like he's not funny. He's just annoying.
Yes.
Like all that stuff is like blah, 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 blah. And then interspersed with that is the rescue of Gandalf from Dol Guldur also.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which is, a thing. Like it's fine. Like I don't care. But it is again, it's taking up a lot of movie time.
Yes. It is. And this is definitely the like no, really, there's a connection here. Like this is that happens a couple times throughout this, but it's like, no, those movies that came out before, like this is, remember that there's a connection here. Don't forget about that. We're going to get there. Don't forget when it's like, oh my gosh, like this isn't about Sauron. It wasn't about that's not the purpose of this movie or this book. I'll say that, but they're really pulling hard to make sure that you understand what's coming, right?
Yeah. I do like though when so like I do kind of like the part where she like Galadriel, when she like blows up Sauron, like banish him out, right? She's holding the vial of Galadriel that she's gonna give to Frodo later. So I like that part. I thought that's cool.
No, visually, I love seeing Galadriel, Elrond, Saruman, right? Saruman, and like I love seeing them kick butt. Like it's really neat to see them all doing this stuff and doing this. But it's like, okay, like I get it, cool. Okay, move on.
But yeah, it is it's already, there's also a lot. This movie also takes years to end. So like,
yeah, and like, weirdly, I think this movie is shorter than the first movie.
I think you might be right.
So,
but it's like just all end.
Yes, that's like all this thing is. It's just colons and semicolons. It's nothing but like it's just these big run-on sentences.
Yes, but it's visually good, right?
Sure.
Like when the so yeah, now when we go back, the standoff at the mountain, that part's good. I like that part. It's pretty good. We're gonna, do you not want to parlay? You gave us your word. All that stuff is really good. I did notice, right? I'd never really realized this because I hadn't read the book right in forever, but there are like a couple sneaky shots where you see like ravens flying out of Erebor.
Sure,
because of course dwarves speak Raven.
Yes, not thrush.
Obviously. Right. Yes, not thrush, but Raven.
Jeez, weird.
And so you get this. I did notice that little detail. It's like, oh, there's a raven fly. They're sending to Dane right now. I got it. So that's visually interesting, right? If you know what's happening. But that part where like Thorin and Bard are talking to the door, like that's a good part, right? Where Thorin is like just full on crazy man, and Bard is like, "What do you mean? You don't want to like? We just want to help each other." And he's like, "No, I will help no one." He's like, "What? Okay, it's not going well. We're gonna have to take some drastic measures," because he sounds completely unhinged, right?
Yes. Like, because he is.
He's not making any sense at all. So that, I think that does a good job of showing like really just how far gone Thorin is at this point. Like that part, and he's like, "Yes, we will fight," and they're like, okay, bye."
Right.
Which is then followed by the part where he's like really suspicious. Thorin is really suspicious of all the other dwarfs, and he's like telling Bilbo, he's like, "I think one of them has stolen it." And Bilbo's like, "No, who would do that?" Right?
Yeah.
They're all like getting the armor on, and he's like getting dressed, and they give Bilbo the mithril thing or whatever. And he's like, I just like that part. Like, one of them has betrayed me. Bilbo's just like, yeah, no, who would do that?
Such a thing. Yeah. There are bits. There are bits of humor and stuff like that comes up, and what's his name again? Who plays him? Who plays Bilbo?
Martin Freeman.
Yeah, Martin Freeman. Again, does it really well. Like again, this is genuinely a funny moment, and like also a tense moment. And like this movie has those in there, but they're kind of hidden, and they're covered under so much heaviness and fast paced, and like it's just this movie is very confused about what it's supposed to be and what story it's actually trying to get told.
Yeah. There's some conflicting themes, right? Like they really drive home the like treasure is bad theme, right? Like
yes.
But also with like you can be good theme. Like it's a little bit weird. Right. But through all that, you can really see Bilbo struggling with his decision that he's trying to make, right? He's trying to figure out what to do to help everybody to keep them from becoming dead.
Yes.
And so his struggle really, I think they do a good job of showcasing that, his struggle to overcome this, right?
Yep. Something that is a theme is picked up on in the book, but really I do agree that it is displayed here very well, amongst a lot of confusing other aspects. But like that I feel like, I don't know who wrote that or who, put that together, but like that was done well in this.
Yeah.
Right.
So then we get the part where he escapes, right? He goes and he meets with Bard and Thranduil and oh, Gandalf's back. Hey, what do you know? Hey, what's up, Gandalf? How's it going? And he gives him the stone, and then he sneaks off back to the thing, right? So that leads to the ultimate conflict the next day, where we get the part where Bard's all like, "Are you sure you want to fight? We can still talk." And Thorin's like, "Oh, you have nothing I want. You can't do anything." And basically he's like, "Oh, really? What about this?"
Uh-huh.
I thought that part was fun. Yeah. They get the big showdown, but then like just at the last moment, here comes Billy Conley. I mean, Dane Ironfoot.
Oh my gosh. I don't. Okay, so Billy. This is a weird. This is a weird casting. This is a weird casting for me.
It's a bit weird, but like ultimately, I think it works because it's just so funny.
It's. I would love to know the negotiations to get him to play this role, and if he was like what swung. It's so weird. Like when I'm so it's such a confusing casting for me, but it works. It's just so bizarre.
It's bizarre. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, "What, Billy Conley?"
Yes.
What are you doing here? You took a wrong turn. But this is also interesting, like cinematically, because this is the first time we get to see like the dwarf army.
Yeah.
Right. Like we've only ever seen in the whole trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, we saw like a dwarf. Right. Like,
yes.
We saw one, and then I mean, I guess technically at the very beginning in Rivendell, there's a couple other ones that are there also, but like we just have one, right? In this movie, we get like 13, but they're not like there's like some ragtag dwarfs. They don't really have like army stuff. So seeing like the full dwarf like contingent, I think is actually pretty cool, right? Just like cinematically, I think it's really neat, and the way that they presented them was kind of cool, right? I like that part.
Yes. Yeah, it really does. We commented about that in the book of just like how imposing this must have been, and how the dwarves that we had been exposed to up until this point have been the Philly and Killian Bomber and Biffram Bofer and all those people, and to see them in this context now, very like, oh, like this is different. Like this has been a tonal shift in the kind of people who we're interacting with.
Yes, very much so. So yeah, I like that part. It's kind of cool when they start fighting the elves, right? It's a little interesting, but like my favorite part in like the whole movie, right, is the part where the orcs show up, right? And then the giant trimmer worms, whatever, I don't care, but like the orcs show up, and the elves. It looks like the elves are gonna leave, right? Thranduil's like, "Oh, well, no, just kidding. I don't want to deal with that. Let's go." And the dwarfs come and they like reform the pike formation thing, right?
Yes.
With the shields and the spears. And then as the orcs are charging them, the elves like leap over the dwarves and start fighting.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Again, visually,
it's so
very well done.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's so incredibly epic.
Yes, it is.
It's just like, oh my gosh, what? And then like just chaos ensues everywhere. But like that one part, I just love that part, right? It's like the best part in the whole battle,
sure.
I think. Because then it gets like real wonky, right? Like we bounce around a lot. We're like on the field of battle. We're in Dale with the men attacking over the orcs over there. And then like there's a bunch of back and forth. I do like though how we interrupt it with the like we're going between that. We're seeing it's not going well anywhere, and then we go to Thorin sitting on the throne, just like alone in that room, and it's like quiet. There's like no noise. And he has that conversation with Dwalin, right?
Yeah.
About like, why are we still in here? We need to go help. Our friends are dying. And Thorin's like, yes, we should help. Move the gold deeper into the mountain so they can't get it. Like,
yeah, he's really struggling.
What I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but it's a nice counterbalance, right? To see like, duh.
Sure,
what's going on there. But then, so yeah, there's some, just some like visual chaos of like weird battle and stuff. But what are your thoughts on the Thorin confronting the dragon sickness part, right? Where he's in that room with the gold floor and he's just like going absolutely crazy. What do you think about this?
Where he's being swallowed up by all the gold around him?
Yeah. And like he sees the dragon in the floor, right? What do you think about this part?
So this is actually visually, so the dragon sickness, it plays a very important role in a lot of these events. In the book, it's hardly touched on at all, except to say that it is a thing and it can impact people. Like, I think the striking part of this was the in comparison. I don't know how apt this is, but in the ending of the last film, we had a dragon that was literally consumed by gold, right? And this is him kind of going down that same path of where he's going to go. So I thought it was an interesting metaphor of becoming all consumed by the gold and just kind of what that meant for him. Because we don't really otherwise. I understand it's a hard thing to show what's going on the inside of somebody's mind, right? That's always something that's hard to display visually. So I think they did an okay showcasing that in this. It's not I don't think they did a bad job with it.
Yeah. I just like the part. I like he's got all that like there's a lot of auditory noise happening, like of like people like, there's like him like thinking about like thoughts and things he said to people and things other people have said to him, right? Like,
he's replaying all those back.
Yeah, where he's like, I'm not my grandfather. Where like it's been brought up several times that Thor also had this problem, right? He went a bit crazy because of all the gold, right? He had the madness. And he's talking, it's like him repeating that, and then like Dwalin and Boffer or whatever, like talking about like how we can't leave our friends to die, right? But like at the end, like the voice that like cuts through and like makes him pause is Bilbo.
Yeah.
Right? It's Bilbo's saying like, what are you doing? Like, and it's just that it's Bilbo's voice that is making him go, oh, whoopsie daisy. Right. And then so like that part that this transition from that scene where he like is getting swallowed by the gold, right? I like that part, right? But So he's in like full kingly royal regal vestments, right? Cut to him walking out of that door towards the rest of the dwarves, and he's just wearing his normal traveling clothes again, right? He's just wearing his shirt and his pants and his like little male vest. That's it. And so you have a very clear visual representation of Thorin. Now, okay. Now he's back. Right. Okay.
Thorin's back. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they're like, well, we can't stand here. And he's like, we can't just stand in here and watch our friends die. And he goes, yes, you're right. Let's go. And they're like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. And they all call to arms. Yeah.
And then, so then they go out. They go forth for 45 more minutes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Again, you're like, it's this. I'm going to use a word here to describe this movie mostly as just exhausting because, I mean, you said it's just a movie of endings, and there's just, it's like, oh my gosh, how is there still so much more? Like, there's still so much more. And now we understand why Tolkien would say, and sometime past, right?
Yeah, it's true. Because
like, oh, I get it now because this is annoying.
Yeah. So, like, again, it's visually interesting. They go out, they decide to go confront Azog because he's up on the mountain, on the hill, giving directions, doing generally stuff. So, like, oh, we should probably kill him so that they stop getting orders about what to do. Which is a good plan, right? So, off they go, right? They go off the thing, some stuff. I do like the design choice of the dwarves riding the like attack goats. I think that's very, that's very. I like this choice. This is good.
It's again, I guess it's a little bit of comedy in there. It's an interesting.
Yeah, so I like this. Anyway, go up, charge the hill, fight off baddies, do things. Legolas is there for some reason.
Yeah, he's got to be. Right?
You know, that part, again, it's visually long, but ultimately we have the showdown with Azog, right? Oh, after Feely and Keely die.
Oh, yes,
now
by the way.
Now you care about them. They didn't die off camera.
They didn't. We saw it. Aha!
Imagine if they would have died off camera in the movie.
Like, who would do such a thing? Exactly.
But yeah, you have the ultimate showdown, like the fight with Azog, which is interesting on the ice, right? It's kind of cool, right? But yes, Thorin, basically sacrifices himself in order to end Azog. The old, I'll let you stab me, but surprise, I'm going to stab you.
Stabbing you back. Yeah.
Stabby. Which is very, it's pretty cool visually and like tonally. It's interesting that he decided to do that, to sacrifice himself, to stop this, to save everybody else, to avenge his cousins and whatever. So, or nephews, I guess, nephews. So that's cool. And then him and Bilbo's moment is there instead of in Dale in a hospital tent. He has his moment with Bilbo here,
yes,
where he gets his chance to apologize to Bilbo and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," blah blah. And so yeah, it's there. But they still get to have that moment, and it's still very powerful, right? So I think it's good. But yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Boom. There you go.
Yeah, yep. And then again, because the movie must have connections to the other ones, Bilbo's throwing a birthday party at the very end of this, right?
Oh well, yeah, but that's where it started. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I don't mind that decision because he's writing in that book in the first trilogy, right? Like when Frodo does catch him, that is what he's doing. He's writing that. So like,
yes.
I don't mind that too much. When we flash back and it's Ian Holm again, like, oh hello, like, that's okay. I don't mind that at all. I like that little bit of continuity where, because it's kind of like, from a storytelling perspective, it is like, it's basically Bilbo remembering.
Yes.
Right. The whole thing is like Ian Holm Bilbo remembering this journey that he had as Martin Freeman Bilbo. And then wrapping back. So like, again, you can take with that what you will, like with how reliable is the narrator when we add in things like this, like, oh, it's a little bit weird, but it's old Bilbo remembering young Bilbo's life and all that stuff. So I don't mind that at all. I think that's okay.
Sure.
So,
and it's interesting that in this movie, Battle of Five Armies, is the last film for Ian Holmes and Lee's final live action film as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That this was both before they passed away.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting I don't even capstone or final for them in those, because he was, how old was
Ian Holm was very old. I remember that like Elijah Wood had to help him read his lines and help him do all that stuff.
Yeah, because this film was so Battle of Five Armies, what did we say? It came out in 2014. 14. Yeah. So 2014, Ian Holm died 6 years later, so he was 82 when he filmed this movie.
Yeah, but
Christopher Lee died. He was, okay, everybody, ready? This movie came out in 2014.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee died in 2015 at 93. Yeah, he was 90. He was like 92 when he filmed this. That's everybody like that's what he was doing. He was filming The Hobbit when he was 91 and 92. Like, what?
Yeah. So, yes, I like it.
So, overall, the trilogy, I have a hard time standing behind the trilogy as a whole because it's a trilogy. I don't mind the first movie, but I after the first movie, it all kind of unravels for me, mostly because by the time we get first movie, pretty well knit together, moving ahead, some weird things here and there with the orcs and whatever, but that's fine. We're moving. By the time it's hard for me to understand how we went from that to what ended up being the third movie, of how disjointed and how frantic the whole thing felt.
I mean, it's a battle. So yes, but it is a lot of they've made too many paths to follow.
Yes,
right, and you have to knot them all up in certain ways. So it feels jumpy, right? Jumping here, jumping there. Because we already have a billion characters. And so when they added more, right?
Yes. That's what, again, it's one of those of everything is of the utmost importance. We can't not talk about this, obviously.
Yeah, that's
and you're
true.
like, oh my gosh, I need a little bit more, a little bit less of some things to help me understand what's going on. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. But you know what does help you understand what's going on, and one thing that we have to talk about before we wrap this up.
Oh, yeah.
Howard Shore. Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Dang it, Howard Shore. The soundtrack is so stinking good. I don't even care. A lot of the cues and a lot of the emotional is delivered through this soundtrack. And it's it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. The one, yeah. Fair enough. The score for this film and all of the films, right? He did the original trilogy as well. Yeah.
But
these, he really was, I don't know what directive he was or was not told to do, but it's really him just laying it all out there. It's an amazing score.
Yeah. So I feel like that the thing that's really sort of underpinning all of this, no matter what's happening, the score in this movie is just incredible. Yeah. And a lot of the emotion and stuff can just be delivered just straight from there. Just let Howard Shore do his thing, and it's fine. And you can't help but like certain parts of it because of the underlying music in the background that's just blasting away. It's like,
yeah,
this is, you just get sucked in automatically. Like, you can't help it. You're like, oh, come on. With the themes and the dwarf theme and then like the Shire theme poking through here and there. Like, you really get some of those Bilbos, like in the book where it talks about like Bilbo thinking about home and blah, blah, blah. Like, the movie just like, Howard Shore just like pokes the Shire theme in randomly in spots and you get it. Right? There it is. Blah, blah, right. You know? Like, oh, this part's really, Bilbo's really struggling with something. What's he struggling with? Oh, is that the Rings theme I hear? Like, it is. Like, like, like the way that he uses theme and stuff to like interweave these ideas and like create new scores. It's so good.
Yeah. I'm going to actually include a YouTube video, and I'll text you this too as well, of a YouTuber breaking down. It's called Lord of the Rings: How Howard Shore Makes Us Care. And it like,
I think
and
I've
like
seen that one. Yeah,
yeah, where it shows scenes with the. It's kind of cool because he breaks down scenes with the actual sheet music overlaid on the screen as well. So you can kind of see what's being played during specific moments, and just how it's all put together. So it's very interesting how they put it together. I
mean, from the instrument choice to the way that he weaves the different themes together in certain it's incredible. So you really get a lot of that emotion from like not only the performances from the actors, which are I think pretty good overall, and then add in that soundtrack. It's just like, well, I can't be too mad, right? Like I can't.
No, anything. If we're honest, anytime we get more Howard Shore, it's a good day. So you're right. You're right. All three movies totally redeemed. I love them all equally.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And it does help, right? It does help. We watched them like, I will say, like we didn't watch them like at a stretch, right? When we watched the movies, like we would watch them for a little bit and then we would like pause it.
Yeah.
At like a break. And then like.
No, the human body physically cannot watch all these in one stretch. Like it is impossible.
I mean, it's not. I watched all the Lord of the Rings in one stretch before.
Well,
but like, so that helps kind of break up some of that weirdness, right?
Yeah.
It kind of alleviates some of like well, this is still happening. If you're like, we break, make supper, do this, blah, blah, do that. Sure. Or even, we'll watch this one, watch half the movie today. And we just had to because of the time. Like we had to do other things.
It's so
like we had to watch half the movie and then the next day watch the other half. Like it makes it like way not so bad, right? You're like, oh, okay. Like the pacing problems go away when you're only watching half the movie. But yeah, the only one that I really struggle to get through is the second one, just because it feels long.
Yeah,
it just feels so long. There's so much stuff in that movie. Like, I think it's just so much stuff, right? If you made the Battle of Five Armies shorter, you cut out some of that stuff, and you moved some of the second movie to there, even like if there was more smog alive in the then I think that was still like you can keep everything else, but just like shift it around a little bit. Like
I think that's why the third movie is so exhausting for me, because you don't get a break. Like because there is nothing.
You start out with
battle.
the big. Yeah,
by the end of it, it's like I have lost all of my care, because it's just like I can't even anymore. Like it's just so exhausting in that way. And you're right. I think if they really had trimmed down that and expanded, I would have loved to have seen more desolation by and of smog. Whoa! All right, did you hear that motorcycle go by, or was that me?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, sorry, it was very loud. Some more desolation of and by smog. Like that would have been really cool to see, since he's kind of the a big deal in the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, Well, we'll submit our sternly written letters for the remake in 20 years.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, all that being said, there are a lot of other movies that I would like watch this in front of. Right? There's a whole ton of other movies. Like just because I feel like these movies didn't live up their potential. Like I don't think they're like terrible, and I would still rather watch them than a lot of other stuff.
Sure.
Right. So I feel like that's an important little asterisk to end on here. Like being harsh because I love it, but like there's also I would much rather watch this than like many other things. so I just want to end on that. No,
fair enough. Yes. Well, and on that bombshell, I think we'll wrap.
All right.
Very good. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll do this again soon.
All right.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.